That was a 5-gallon propane tank exploding, and one of the reasons I invented ProcoverPlus, the heat-reflective propane tank cover. Today, I begin my story with a quote. In a San Francisco Chronicle newspaper article talking about propane barbecue dangers, the paper quoted an accident victim as saying, "I remember I could hear my skin sizzle." When I read that quote, I knew there had to be a solution to the problem. And I started to look and investigate and see if I could develop something that would make propane barbecues safer. That article was all about propane tanks and grill accidents, and the warning label says it all. This is the warning label that propane barbecue manufacturers are required to attach to their grills. And take a close look at this one. It's unbelievable that somebody would put a warning sticker that talks about injury and death on the back of a barbecue grill, and actually on the sticker say, "This is the back of the grill." The industry is hiding that there are potential dangers. So what's the danger? Take these two tanks for example. Just from sitting in the hot sun, the tank on the left without a cover is hot, while the one on the right with a cover is cool. Big deal? Yes, it is a big deal. PV equals nRT goes back to chemistry. It's pure physics. If the temperature goes up, the volume of the tank remains the same, the pressure goes up. So enough for the chemistry lesson. So you've been sitting around the grill and you get a whiff of propane. What do you think? Well, most people think they have a loose fitting and tighten it. What is most likely happening is the propane tank is getting hot, causing the pressure to go up. When this happens, there is a pressure relief valve on the tank that pops open and bleeds off enough propane to reduce the tank pressure so it won't rupture the tank. So why can you put only 4 gallons of propane into a 5-gallon tank? It goes back to a multitude of propane accidents that resulted in lawsuits. At one point in time, grill manufacturers actually made space under their grills to fit a spare propane tank. At the same time, you could actually put 5 gallons of propane into a tank. In fact, some people can still do this today in spite of the overfill protection valve, which can be outsmarted by some. On average, a fully filled 5-gallon propane tank will vent about 1 gallon of propane just from sitting in the hot sun. Now put it next to a hot grill with an open flame and you get kaboom! Note I said on average. So nationally, on average, a tank will vent 1 gallon of propane, but in hotter climates, it can be more. So the 20% reduction in capacity is just a compromise. So you remember the infrared images of the two tanks that were just sitting in the hot sun? This next infrared image is of two tanks sitting next to a hot grill. You'll notice a significant difference. The tank with the cover is barely visible since it is so cool, while the other one is extremely hot. Here is a typical grill with a cover on the tank. So why buy a cover? The covers protect tanks from radiant heat, reduces risk to consumers, note that there are about 7,000 accidents a year, reduces risk to firefighters from levies, reduces air pollution, reduces a consumer's fear of propane, saves energy, and it protects the tanks from the weather. When I invented the propane tank cover, my focus was on safety. And then I learned it also reduces air pollution. From my research, I determined that yes, propane tanks will vent when they get hot. In this document, email from the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, it also went on to say that since the grill heat is caused by a flame, serious injury can result from a tank venting near a grill. Early in my research, I contacted the California Air Resources Board to see if they had ever considered the small propane tanks as being a source of air pollution. From the corresponding email, the answer was no, and they went on to conclude that if this is true, then perhaps this does represent a possible source for reducing VOC emissions in California. In a follow-on email the following day, another engineer said, yes, I agree it would be worthwhile to add the small tank propane losses to the California inventory of pollutants. In that email, he also noted that about 50 tons a day of propane emissions are emitted in California alone. I call this the Bartels theory that explains the weekend effect in Los Angeles. The weekend effect is where the smog levels are higher on the weekend, even though there are fewer cars on the road. One of the first errands on a Saturday morning for a number of people is to get the propane tank filled for the afternoon barbecue. In Los Angeles, it is often cool in the morning and then gets hot in the afternoon. This is the perfect recipe for venting propane. Propane shrinks when it is cool and expands when it gets hot, and thus my explanation for the weekend effect. Until I'd asked the question, the California Air Resources Board hadn't considered propane tanks as a source of added pollution. Earlier in this presentation, I had noted how the propane tank cover protects consumers, reduces smog, and I'd also mentioned protecting firefighters from a BLEVE. So what is a BLEVE? This is a BLEVE. So with that, think of ProcoverPlus like a seatbelt for your barbecue. It is there to keep you safe. Please visit ProcoverPlus.com to support my efforts and to learn more about the invention. To be informed of when I launch my Kickstarter campaign, email me at fbartels@ProcoverPlus.com and include Kickstarter in the subject line. And of course, please pass along the link to this YouTube video to your family and friends. I'd like to thank you for your support, and good day.